Hi everybody, welcome. Thank you very much for joining me here today. In New Zealand, it is already New Year's Eve today. And gradually over the next few hours, we're going to see the beginning of a new calendar year. And this is a great time to look back at the astrology of last year. I had a good look at it as to what were we facing at the end of 2019 and moving into at the beginning of 2020. And the predominance was, and it looked very difficult in terms of the aspects, as I reported on a video 5 years earlier and on a seminar that I did 5 years earlier, that 2020 looked like a very ominous year because we had so many planets in Capricorn. Always at the turn of the year, we're going to have the Sun in Capricorn and probably Mercury. But at the turn of 2020, we had Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, and Saturn and Pluto coming closer and closer together. So this is a very difficult aspect. People who are born with Saturn and Pluto conjunct. So these are people born around, what are the years? 1947, 48, and then again in 1982, 3, there were certain times when Saturn and Pluto came together. The difference was that in 2012, on January the 12th, Saturn and Pluto came together just one time. So usually Saturn goes there and back and there and back 2, even 3 times. But this was just one pass. So really significant, really strong, and in Capricorn to do with the breakdown of our systems, the breakdown of our economies, our routines, our regularities. And this is still carrying through, although Saturn and Pluto are beginning to separate now. Although Pluto is at the later degrees of Capricorn, Saturn has already, since the 18th of December, moved into Aquarius. And so what we're seeing now as we move into 2021, to me, it looks a completely different frequency. The frequency is changing now from this very heavy Earth energy. And also during this year, we had Venus retrograde, Mars retrograde, as well as the usual Mercury retrogrades. So this has been very much a year of reflection, of looking back, and of a lot of internal work that needed to happen for many of us. There are so many people who really, in fact, enjoyed lockdowns. Some people hate them, some people got a lot of benefit from them. It all depended on your perspective and what you were experiencing and your response to what you were experiencing. So it's been a very internal time. The predominance was on earth energy, earth and water predominated as we move from 2019 to 2020. As we are moving from 2020 to 2021, we are moving gradually. We've still got the earth element because we've got Pluto still in Capricorn till 2023. And we've also got Neptune still in Pisces till 2024-5. So we still have this element of earth and water. But what we now have is this gradual movement towards air, because Jupiter and Saturn have moved into the air signs. So this is more fast moving. And we've also got Venus and Mars in fire signs as we move into the new year. Last year, we didn't have that. Mars was in Scorpio, Venus in Aquarius. So we had no fire in the transition into the new year to 2020. This year, we've got some fire energy, hence this blouse, Hence, I did a painting for the movement into the new year, which I hope you like. Seemed like a good time to share the painting. The circle that seemed to come together from the Pleiadians here with bringing us all together, seeing that we are all on this, all on the spaceship together. So gradually there is a feeling now of a possibility to move forward, a sense of momentum that we can build up this year. As well, moving 19 to 2020, the eclipses of the moon were in Cancer and Capricorn, to do with countries, nation states, borders. Now, as we move into 2021, the Brexit deal, the UK leaving the 27 member countries. So there's been breakups. And now we have eclipses this year in Gemini and Sagittarius, the fire and the air signs. This creates like more movement. So the eclipses are encouraging fluidity. And the biggest challenge that we face in this coming year, so when I looked at last year, it was the Saturn-Pluto, and it was like, oh my goodness, what could this mean? But it's very, very significant, which it's proved to be. This year, the big aspect that all the astrologers are talking about is the square from Uranus in Taurus to Saturn in Aquarius. This is the biggie. Now, it's a tight square, particularly from February to July, and again in December. It's really close, but all year it's resonating. But these are going to be the months I think we'll feel it the most. So how do we now prepare energetically, emotionally, psychically, on a personal level for this square energy? And what can we do in the collective to reduce the likelihood that it's going to bring about here's the possibilities. Let's weigh it, because astrology can play out in the very positive, elevated consciousness level, or it can play out in very negative ways. So the more negative possibilities could be, I'm going to cover all of it here with you so that we see what the potentials are and where we might need to make the adjustments. So the potentials here are civil wars, breakout of war, the acceleration of the ego needing, this is for me, this is mine, billionaires getting richer, the gap between the rich and the poor widening. And because of that, great unrest, social unrest, and rebellion. These are all possibilities. Saturn does not want the change. Uranus wants the change. When they're in square to each other, here's what's difficult about a square aspect. Let me explain why a square is difficult. It's a 90-degree angle. 90-degree angles bring about different elements. So what we're dealing with, Saturn is in Aquarius, so we've got an air element, and the 90-degree angle to the Uranus is in Taurus, which is an earth element. So Saturn in an air element where it does not like being, Saturn actually wants to be in an earth element, and Uranus, rather than being in an earth element where it's tied down a bit, would much rather be in an air sign. So if you like, they're occupying one another's territory. And you may feel that. You may start to feel that in your life. What's that doing there? What on earth is going on there? How did that happen? Why are we doing this? And I think it's important with this energetic, shall we say, frequency that is dissonant. It is dissonant. Think of Beethoven. We've just had his 250th anniversary of his birth. He was the master in dissonance. Yes, it was like, this is a very dissonant aspect. Now, dissonance brings about a greater desire for resolution. The stronger the dissonance, the stronger, so it's like the stronger the suffering, the more we want to resolve it and get out of the pain. So don't be surprised if the pain in some ways is magnified collectively, so that we will be given the impetus to make changes that are positive ones. So that's the negative way that this aspect can play out. So the square is different elements. And the square means that it's difficult to see eye to eye. Yeah, one element says, so let me give you an example. There is a square aspect between Aries and Cancer. There is also a square aspect between Aries and Capricorn. It's a square energy. So how would it play out? Well, let's look at that. The square energy with Aries, Aries says, I just want to go. I just want to get going. Let's take action, let's go. Cancer, the square energy, the water energy says, oh, hang on a minute. Don't rush. Let's check out whether we're safe to go. Aries could care less. Aries wants to go snowboarding and surfing and wants the thrill of the adventure. Cancer wants to make sure you're safe, that you put your seatbelt on before you go. So this is the dichotomy that we're dealing with here. So these are fixed signs, and the fixed signs like to hang on. Uranus in Taurus, Saturn in Aquarius. The fixed signs are Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio. How could I have forgotten Scorpio hiding there? So the fixed signs, I think, are going to feel this more than ever. And any planets that you have in your chart, you will feel this strongly. It would be very helpful to know where this square falls in your chart and whether it's actually hitting any natal planets, so that you can see which life areas may affect you. So Uranus in Taurus, let's look at this. We are probably going to be dealing with a lot of issues around cyber security. Saturn, Aquarius. Aquarius, our technology. Saturn, how it is structured, our internet. Uranus, square, people possibly wanting to put limitations on how we trade, how we do business on the internet. More limitations, countries wanting to make sure that their tax regulations are abided by. So we may have more cyber attacks, more hacks, more breakouts. So I'm going to suggest do your best to, at this point now, back up, change your passwords. I need to walk my talk here. It's so convenient to keep your passwords the same, but I'm going to make a note now. Back up your hard drive, change your passwords, do whatever you can to keep your information and your data as secure as you can, and change it from time to time. Don't get lackadaisical with it. I had a shock yesterday when I couldn't get into my PayPal account. It was like, sorry, we don't recognize you. I'm like, what do you mean you don't recognize me? So there was no way in. I knew my password, I knew everything. It was just like, sorry, we can't identify you. So don't be surprised if things like this may come up. So I'm going to suggest have a backup upon a backup upon a backup so that you can protect yourself best you can with these possibilities being in the water as we look at the transition into this new year. Because I think it's important to look at where the potential challenges are. It's not all, oh, marvelous, marvelous. We've got problems that we're going to have to deal with. And what do we need to do to creatively work with these problems and solve them? So Uranus in Taurus is going to be everything about the awakening that I've spoken about a lot, the awakening to connecting with Mother Earth, connecting deeply with the nourishment and the gratitude that we must have for Mother Earth, and tuning into Mother Earth and healing through Mother Earth, and the appreciation of the flowers, of the beauty, the aesthetics. Fashion is going to change. Making things is going to be really prevalent, making beautiful things. It's a wonderful time at the turn of this year to create a creation box. I've got my little creation box here. So just an old box, and make it beautiful and put things in your creation box that you want to see manifest. At the moment, I just put all the teddies in there for now. So teddies are in my creation box and a few other things deep inside. Add to it. Look at it with glee from time to time. What are the goodies that you want to put in your creation box, that you want to create and manifest this year? For yourself, for your loved ones, for our wider family. Taurus, gratitude. I'm so grateful. Lucy, thank you for staying up late. She stayed up late to be here on this live stream. Thank you, Drew, for being here. Thank you for being here. Do the 200 gratitudes every day. Speak them out, write them out. I often do them as I'm going to sleep. I think of all the things that I'm so thankful for. The clean sheets, the nice softness, just the joy of relaxing into sleep. All those things. Sometimes I do it on my walk, when I'm when I'm walking the dog. So you can do the gratitudes anywhere. But this awakening to having a habit, because Taurus is often about habit patterns. The square to Saturn is breaking out of old destructive habit patterns and creating new ones, because Taurus loves habits. It loves its rituals. So what do you need to break out of that's no longer serving you as we transition into this year? And just to let you know, here's the funny thing around the PayPal situation. It was all blocked yesterday. You may find that things are just suddenly blocked. And the PayPal assistant who I was speaking with, finally, when you get through, no, you must have this mobile number. No, you can't do this. Everything was no. And I found myself shouting at her. Yeah, Mars in Aries, come on. This is the money that I've earned. This is my living. This is my livelihood. And I want to say thank you to the people who've made donations online. I need the emails. You know, it was like, and I felt that frustration rise. And then halfway through the conversation, I realized, yeah, okay, it's Saturn Uranus energy. Don't blame the messenger. So I did apologize to this poor girl. And I said that I was sorry for taking out my frustrations on her. And she was so gracious about it. She said, no, I understand that you'd be frustrated that you couldn't get into your account. She was very kind about it. So what new habits do you want to create? And I certainly want to create a new habit of learning how to keep my emotions within myself and not inflict them onto other people. It doesn't mean to say I'm going to suppress them, because I'm thinking, yeah, you know, it's not about suppressing. I think they definitely have to come out, but not causing pain to another person. Thank you for liking the video. Dear Lucy and Drew, they're encouraging you to like. Drew has said I can only like once. So it just helps more of our family. If you would please like, it helps the YouTube algorithm to bring more of us together on this New Year's Eve, and almost New Year's Eve for most of you. So think about the things, because I've been studying dogs at the moment, because taking this little teeny weeny toy dog out for a walk. She's ever so sweet and she's great with children and great with people. But another dog, and especially a big dog, and maybe two dogs together, she goes absolutely crazy. Barking and aggression and all of it comes out. But I also notice, you know, what makes the tail wag? So what makes your tail wag? My tail wags just by being here with you. Yes, my tail's wagging. Just the excitement of us coming together. The excitement that we can come together in large numbers. And thank you, a load of you just liked the video. Thank you for responding. We appreciate it, don't we, Drew and Lucy? Thank you. So what makes your tail wag? We're moving into 2021. Fire and air are beginning to manifest. 2025 is the key year, okay? And I'm going to do a separate video and a separate seminar all about 2025, because just as 2020 was a key year, 2025 is a massive year again. I'm planning a webinar for tomorrow, 10 a.m. New Zealand time, which will be 1 p.m. tomorrow Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard, all about, it will be our first webinar, Lucy and I together. Lucy will be my co-host. We're going to look at this coming decade, 2021 to 2030. It'll just be a taster, a 90-minute taster. But as Mars is in Aries until January the 7th, I think, yes, January the 7th, we start the new year with an energy of forward momentum. Walk your talk. So it's a super stretch to do this webinar. I hope you'll join me. I really do, if you can. And at the moment, it's going to be limited to 100 people, just as this test webinar. And the links are going to go up. I think Lucy will put links up. Lucy will post things. And so it's a bit like, do it before you're ready. You're never going to be ready. The aspects are showing, move into the new year with the Richard Branson quote that I think I mentioned in the last video. If somebody gives you an opportunity, you've got something to do, even if you don't know how to do it and learn on the job. So we've done a lot of planning. We've spent many hours, yes, working on it. And I know that I won't feel ready. And I'm going to do it anyway. So what do you need to do that you're not quite ready for, but you're going to do it anyway. All right. That's my encouragement to you in this new year. It's not comfortable, but you create as you go. Much more exciting. The other thing about this coming year is that all the Mercury retrogrades are in air signs. Okay. In this last year, they've been in water signs. Now we're moving to air signs. Have they been in water? Anyway, they've not been in air signs. It was in earth or water. Can't remember. I'm having a little bit of a brain fart, but not to worry. They're in air signs this year. So again, it's Jupiter and Saturn are in air. We've just moved into the air frequency. And I think this is an opportunity with Mercury retro in air signs, is to develop our telepathic and psychic abilities. Being able to use the air with our minds, slow down the sort of monkey mind, because this Mercury in air signs retrograde certainly slows things down, an opportunity to slow things down. And let's see if we can communicate with one another, yes, using our technology, but also ways of communicating without the technology more effectively. I have read that in Atlantean times, in Atlantis, of which I think many of us have had past lives there, if you believe in past lives, that we used crystals to be able to transmit mind energy and power. So maybe many of you, and especially with Uranus in Taurus, I think we will be using the stones and the minerals of the earth to awaken the higher mind, the mental energy. So I think there's a lot of power in this. Very exciting. It's super exciting. Yeah, my tail's really wagging. It's really getting going here. And because of just looking at these potentials. And we've got the eclipses in fire and air as well. So we're now having to balance, what have we learned from this year, the COVID, the lockdowns, the authorities, the connectedness between all of us, either toxically or healthily. What are we going to choose as we move into this new year? How will we vaccinate one another with kindness, with good wishes, and not have to be vaccinated against toxicities? And I think that with the nodes in this Sagittarian Gemini energy, we are going to have to look at how can we be fluid, because the nodes of the moon are in very fluid, mutable signs, and how we're going to deal with the fixed nature of Saturn and Uranus. I've got a great quote here from Lao Tzu, who says, which really relates to this fixed energy: man at his birth is supple and tender, but in death he is rigid and hard. This suppleness and tenderness accompany life, but rigidity and hardness accompany death. So the hard shells, maybe we've got hard shells around our hearts. One of my intentions that I've been writing up, I write up my intentions, my dreams, all the things that I'm hoping for the coming year, personally, collectively, is to know when I'm being too tight, when I'm holding on too tight, when I need to release, when I need to let go, when I'm holding on for grim death. Think of what we say. I'm holding tight. Ugh! Yes. And where must I release? And another brilliant quote from Lao Tzu is, those who seek knowledge collect something every day. Those who seek the way let go of something every day. So I think one of the lessons of this Saturn square Uranus is, what do we need to keep that is useful still and valuable still? And what do we need to release that no longer serves on a personal level and on a collective level? I think that's the lesson here. And that if we go against and we fight and we hold on, then we may have things taken away from us in a brutal way, in a difficult way. But if we know how to somehow flow and we get into this creative mode, because air and fire are very creative. It's the upward motion. So we've still got the earth energy, which we must deal with the climate change, with all the issues that we need to come together on and work together with. And at the same time, now finding your creative spark, being able to solve things more quickly, not being weighed down by old, outdated ways of doing things. So this is a revolutionary aspect that could result in revolution in a positive way or in a negative way. It depends how we choose. So thank you, thank you. I just want to say thank you again to Lucy. She's staying up super late here and she's really attentive, giving you things to do and ideas and really interacting with you in the chat. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you to so many of you who contribute to the channel on Patreon, in the live chat, in many different ways. I'm very, very grateful for you. And I think it's important that we learn now to be really authentic. It's not going to be okay with this Aquarian energy now taking over, not to be the authentic you. And I'm on Lao Tzu today because he just really resonated with me. The snow goose need not bathe to make itself white. Neither need you do anything but be yourself. Thank you, Lisa. Here are teddies. Teddies are in the creation box today because teddies for me represent soothing, represent the child within. They're growing here. I've got a family of teddies here. And teddies are non-threatening. A teddy, you want to cuddle a teddy. A teddy, you want to love a teddy. So what can you do that will cheer you? My dear Auntie Jenny, I spoke to this morning, nearly to be 99, very frustrated and a little, I won't say she's cross, but a little peeved at the fact that the receptionist told her that there are people over 100 who are waiting for the vaccine. So she's a little bit put out that she's sort of bordering on 99 and hasn't been asked to come in just yet. So thank you, Lisa, I appreciate that. But she was telling you about a friend of hers. She can't go out at the moment, but she goes on the buses. And she said, I take a sandwich and a drink with me. And there's only 3 or 4 people on a bus. And I get on a bus and I go places. So where can you go? What can you do? Even within whatever restrictions are at the moment imposed upon you. We'll be looking at what makes us feel free. Thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate that. So what makes you feel free? What makes you feel restricted? What are the structures that we do need? And what are the structures you no longer need and you need to break out of and take some risks So thank you so much for being online with me, for all the support and love that I experience, and I hope you do too, in this soul family, as we come together in this unified field that I think we're going to understand more and more. And I wish you good health, happiness, joy, creativity, finding the greatest potential within you and expressing it into the world. Thank you, thank you. From New Zealand, much, much love.